Craig, and welcome back to another rendition of Coop's Quick Chats. Aaron and Joey are both overseas, so we cannot record a podcast this week. They are over in lovely Germany for the Euros. They just went to the Serbia and Denmark match, and Joey reported to me that a lot of Serbs were calling for the destruction of Kosovo today. And apparently the German riot police did not like that because in the crowd that they were in, they started taking out fire hoses. Firecrackers were being launched. Just, normal European being animals activity. The reporting from them that I've gotten so far in the few conversations that we have, granted, they're 6 hours ahead. So, like, at 4 a.m., they're messaging about breakfast and things like that. And I'm dying in my parents' basement because it's humid as shit down here. And I also been falling asleep at like 8:30 at night because nothing happens here. Nothing happens here. It is incredible to know that you're only 40 minutes outside of a city and yet nobody does anything after 6 p.m. If I wanted a goddamn ice cream cone right now, McDonald's wouldn't even have it, but there's only like one McDonald's that stays open past 11 around here. I have no idea what young people do here. Everyone's like, oh, like being young in Plymouth is great. And my question is like, besides huffing paint and getting DUIs, like what is fun in Plymouth besides like daytime stuff? There's nothing going on. I had to drop some stuff off to Brooklyn yesterday up in Cambridge, and it was late. It was after my shift at my second job, and I got up there and I parked in Harvard Square to get a quick slice of pizza because it was like 10:30. And yes, there was 15 things open. There was people walking around, things happening. I get out and I hear the atmosphere on the Felipe's roof, people drinking margaritas. It's a Monday. No one's working. Ate my pizza in my car, drove home, and everybody down here has been asleep since 5:30 p.m. It's like the early bird special down here, man, and I just don't know how people do it. So if you're in the suburbs right now and most of you are home from college because it is the summer, I just don't remember how I did it. And I was in Plymouth last year and I just don't remember how I did it. There's nothing happening, and it is a very odd thing. And Boston isn't even fun either. Like, things close early in Boston compared to like other more relevant places. But what are you going to do? Anyways, I had a few things I wanted to talk about today that wasn't how Plymouth closes early. See, I'm looking at this hat more and more while I'm recording this, and I really want to like this hat. But this kind of hat, like the trail, earthy, crunchy, granola, like, hat, just does not, it like fits my head, but it like the head shape, it doesn't look good. And I need to wash my cowboy hat that I wear every other situation. So I figured, I'm like, oh, it matches the kind of blue shirt. Got the blue Hawaiian going. I'm like, oh, I'll wear this hat. And the more I'm looking at it, I just don't like the way it looks. And some of you may say, like, well, why are you wearing a hat? And the answer to that is, fuck you. First off, don't fucking question what I'm doing. But second off is because I don't want to show you guys my hairline. I'm already self-conscious about my apparent nasally voice every time I post a TikTok that's slightly controversial. 10 people tell me how nasally I sound, which is great, because then I'm self-conscious about that. But then also, like, I got the whole chubby thing going. I don't need to show you guys the thinning the hairline, the declining hairline. And there's nothing I can really do to stop it. And yes, you can take Hims and stuff, but like that shit is just like prolonging the inevitable. Like, oh, I'll have hair an extra year. That's great. That's not worth $300 a month, whatever ridiculous cost it is. And then someone will correct me and be like, it's only $60. And here's the deal: even if it's $60 a month, it's not worth the extra year, in my opinion. It is what it is. But I'm gonna wear a fucking hat when I record shit. Is what it is. And it looks stupid on my head, and I need to find the rest of my hats. But I'm not even talking about what I wanted to talk about yet. I'm keep distracting myself. This is why I need someone else here. Like, even if it's just like a pro cop character that I can just bounce stuff off. Because I just keep on like absolutely derailing myself. I challenge someone else to come up here and try to talk to just themselves. It's an incredibly talented skill. I don't know how people do it. What was I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah. The biggest threat facing us in America today. and it's not even necessarily a threat, but I think it is a massive problem, and not enough people are talking about it. I haven't seen it on the major news outlets. It's not being discussed around the dinner table, and that is the current Zyn shortage. It's been about 2 months since I've been able to comfortably walk into a store, go, I'll take a Zyn 6 Smooth, please, getting it handed to me, and walking out of the store with it. They have been elusive. It was like toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic. I think when they do get on shelves in stores, people are buying 45 of them instead of being like a good member of the community and buying a couple and letting other people get some. And it's further causing the problem where people aren't able to get anything. But I've been hearing stories about how the factory burned down, or these people like robbed the distributor, or there's like something missing, like they need. I've been hearing stories and stories, and no one has been able to confidently tell me why I have not been able to buy a Zyn 6 Smooth in the store for the last 2 months. And so I've been using the ONS things, which are just the worst. Like I was talking to somebody about them the other day, and I would confidently say if On emailed the podcast today and was like, we will sponsor you, we'll send you free merch, we'll send you free Ons, all you have to do is say they're a decent product, I would not, in a good conscience, be able to tell you that they are a good product. They're horrendous. They only last like 20 minutes. They're a quarter of the size of Zyn. And for whatever reason, instead of using like the nice soft like tea bag material that Zyn uses, they use like printer paper that they like crudely glue together, and they like explode in the container. They're a horrendous product, and it's not getting the job done for me. And some of you might be out there being like, nicotine addiction isn't really a problem. You shouldn't really be. Other people have real addictions, and that is all true. But there's something about being an American that is so wrapped around nicotine. And it's getting to the point where, like, I don't want to walk around smelling like cigarettes, but, like, it's getting close to that point. And yes, I could quit, but then it's like, there's just something so nice about that little nicotine buzz in the morning. There's something so nice about having a nice dinner, and you're walking out of the restaurant, about to walk down to get to your car. You throw a little Zyn into your lip, and you kind of just like the whole meal kind of like, it's almost like a reflective moment. You know what I mean? And if you don't, and if you use Zyn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, you think I sound like I'm deranged. But there's, so it's a truly, I feel like nicotine, a nice nicotine, and Zyn is just so clean. You don't get a spit. It's not nasty. It doesn't taste nasty. It doesn't look nasty. It's just a nice little pouch you put in your lip. It's almost perfection, man. And you just can't buy them anywhere. And my cousin found a few tins for me, waiting in the office for me. I was able to track down a few tins the other day. I walk into a store. I was going to buy an On. I was really upset. And I walk in, and I see 3 tins stacked behind the shelves. And I'm like, the 7-Eleven guy is definitely hiding them for himself. And I was like, that's just simply not going to sit with me, because I know what he's trying to do. Because I walked in, I saw the Zyns. I'll go, oh, actually, never mind. I don't want the On. I want those Zyns right there. And he goes, we don't have Zyns. And I'm like, I'm looking at them right now, buddy. I see them. And he's like, oh, these are 3s, though. You probably don't want those, right? And I'm like, nope, I do. I do want those. I know you probably want those, and that's why you didn't give them to me right away. And you're trying to act dumb like you didn't know those 3 specific tins were behind there, because you very confidently told me there wasn't, and then you knew that there were 3s without looking at them. So I think you knew those Zins were there. And then he tried to talk to me about it. He was like, isn't it crazy you haven't been able to find them? And I'm like, yeah, it is crazy, but I did find some, so toss them over. But now they're talking about banning them. And that's just where I draw the line. I try to stay out of politics. I know we talk about politics a lot here, but I'm like not really a really political man. I won't take a lot of stances. I don't get riled up personally that much. But when I start seeing articles that they're going to ban Zins, this is where I draw the line as an American. And this is where I will start running for political office, or I will start campaigning for people who will keep Zins on the shelf. Because I made the mistake in like 2018, 2019, when they came after the Mint Jewel. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. It sucks. But like, I didn't fight it. I let it happen. And a lot of us Americans did let it happen. And most people didn't own a jewel. They always bummed them. But I think you forget the euphoric feeling of getting handed a fully charged jewel with a fresh mint pod. And you take it and you pinch it a little bit. And you inhale and you get that little crackle. And you get the cool mint breeze coming down your throat. And you exhale it. And it's the perfect little minty flavor. Nice little cloud. And you just immediately go. Your head just clears. And you almost feel a little lifted. You feel a little lighter. I had a fresh mint pod about a few months ago. And I think we've talked about it in the podcast. But just lying back on the couch, taking that first rip of mint jewel again, I would argue I felt more content, happier than I did when I lost my virginity. And some of you might be like, that is so extreme, because some of you guys probably haven't had sex yet, and that's tragic, and I'm so sorry about that. But I promise you, if you could get your hands on a mint jewel pod, I don't know how you do it, but if you got your hands on there and you rip it again for the first time, it is better than sex. It's a lot less of a headache because you don't have to think about it. That jewel just wants to make you happy. It's almost kind of like a hooker thing, where it's like you pay for it and it's there to make you happy. You don't really have to think about you just need to charge it every once in a while. You know what I mean? But it's there to make you happy. And they took that away from us. And I think a huge reason we allowed them to take it away from us is because there's like, oh yeah, that probably is making kids addicted to nicotine. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, my sister being in high school, ripping the jewel, and going like, yeah, it is a gateway, I guess. But I will draw the line at Zins, because I don't know what they would even say. Because it's just nicotine salt. And if you argue to me that it's because they want you to be healthy, my argument back would be, why are you allowed to buy 20 pounds of watermelon Sour Patch at CVS if the government really cared about you being healthy? Why am I able to go to a liquor store and buy 15 nips of Fireball and then get behind the wheel of my company car and drive around town during my workday if they cared about you being healthy? I don't know what the end game is by banning the Zins. Maybe just ban the flavors. I can deal, because here's the deal. Almost the reverse of the jewel, where like the jewel, like the tobacco just isn't it. If you're someone who's ripping the tobacco jewel, you're in it for the love of the game, because it's almost grosser than a cigarette. Like, yeah, you don't smell like tobacco after the fact, but like, it is nasty. It doesn't hit. And some of you might be like, oh, the mango, whatever. Like, yeah, none of it is as good as the mint. You will never convince me that any of those jewel flavors were good as mint. But if you're still ripping the jewel in 2024, like, you're in it for the love of the game. But the reverse of the Zins is the non-flavored Zins, I'd argue, are the better. You just throw it in and you can do whatever you want. You want a little soda, you can drink a soda. It doesn't affect it. You want a coffee? Drink a coffee. Don't mix the soda and the coffees in. because it does absorb it. But like the citrus and stuff, it's a nice treat once in a while. But I will I will concede the flavors. But when they come for the Zin in general, is when the "Don't Tread on Me" flags will be flying for me. I will protest. I will lobby. You will see me in the State House. You will see me at Capitol Hill. It's where I draw the line. It's one of the simple pleasures that remains. And the only real consequence of it is to you directly. And yeah, maybe we don't know what the consequence is yet. But we do know what the consequence is of eating 20 pounds of watermelon Sour Patch. But you still allow me to do it. So don't lie to me and say that it's for better health. Okay? And if you're out there and you do find Zins, first off, do not buy 40 tins of them. They will be back on the shelves at some point. You are fucking it up for everybody by taking that many at once when there's a shortage, alright? Have we not learned from the toilet paper during COVID? There was plenty of toilet paper that whole time, you fucking morons. It's because you guys all wanted to buy pallets of it. You don't need pallets of Zins right now. Buy a couple tins. Let other people enjoy the pleasures. You're just sitting on 50 tins now at your house. You selfish fuck. Some of us are dying out here, having to eat fucking aunts. I've been fighting through nicotine headaches because I've refused the aunts. I'm like, nope. Not happening. But anyways, I think it's time that we start writing to our local politicians and we let them know that if they want to keep their fucking cushy jobs, they better keep those Zins on the shelf. Because, again, that is where the line needs to be drawn somewhere for me. Alright? I'm never going to get to retire. A lot of us aren't going to be able to buy houses. Let us walk into a store and buy the goddamn Zins. Bring back the mint jewel, please. They're telling everybody they could get drafted now. I'm just about to age out of that, so like it's not really going to affect me, and I'm going to actually be pro that once I'm 27 years old. But you're going to let these people get drafted. Get them the goddamn mint jewel back. Alright? No one's smoking cigarettes anymore. You're making people smoke cigarettes. I'm like craving cigarettes now. Every day that there isn't a Zin in my fucking lip, I am a day closer to picking up a pack of American Spirits, and maybe that's what they want. But then, so maybe I won't buy the American Spirits. I don't know the workaround here. I don't know how we punish them for taking them away. But it's time to draw the line somewhere. And the line is here. You took the goddamn jewel, and I said nothing. I'm not going to let you take the Zins and say nothing. I'm just not going to do it. They took the goddamn Panera lemonade, too. I don't even like that. But you can buy a goddamn Monster with more caffeine than the goddamn Panera lemonade. This whole country, man. There's just the decision making, I just don't understand it. But I just feel like some of these issues aren't being discussed. And now we're sitting here with the risk of Chuck Schumer, who's probably never had a Zin. That's the thing, man. Do you think if you gave fucking Pelosi a Zin, she would ever ban those things? There's no way. The problem is, though, too, is if you never use a Zin and then you have one for the first time, because my cousin always falls for the trap of this, where she, like when she starts drinking, I'll give her a Zin and then she throws up. It is a lot if you don't have them a lot. So maybe we start them on threes. We send Chuck Schumer and who's that fucking old guy who looks like a turtle in Tennessee? We send him a couple threes. We have them throw those bad Larrys in, and then you tell me that you want to ban them after the fact. There's just no way. There's just no way. Anyway, that was about 20 minutes of me ranting about Zins. I don't even remember what the other stuff I wanted to talk about is at this point. Oh, I guess we could try to fit this in here. I was eating a lobster roll the other day, and I understand that's an incredibly privileged thing to have. Not everybody can have a lobster roll, especially in this economy. So I understand that I'm coming to you, the listener, from a point of privilege already before I complain about this. But it was a beautiful night. Perfect temperature, like that in between. Like you could wear a sweatshirt, you could wear a t-shirt, be comfortable in both kind of deal. Very calm breeze, nice salty breeze off the sea. Seagulls up in the air circling, but not coming down too close. Aaron and I sitting, pallet of oysters in front of us, lobster roll, some clam strips, having a few beverages. And at this point, in the point of an incredible privilege, not everybody gets to live by the ocean. Not everybody gets to be close enough to Maine to have a fresh Maine lobster roll like that. The clams, the oysters, the Wellfleet oysters, arguably some of the best oysters on the planet. And we're sitting there eating them. And all I'm hearing about conversation-wise is about how the border's being overrun. But how we're sending too much money to the Ukraine. About how Michelle Obama is actually Big Mike and pegs Barack in the ass. These are the conversations I'm hearing while I'm by the ocean, literally on the ocean, eating clams, oysters, lobster roll with a beverage. There are some people who live in Indiana who will never get to have that kind of bounty, or even if they do, truly get to appreciate it. There's some people who are currently in Rafah, the tragedies occurring, the Ukraine, all the other places with problems, and they don't get to eat a lobster roll by the ocean. And my thing is at what point do we need to acknowledge the privilege, but then also enjoy the privilege without being bogged down by these otherworldly... When you are eating a lobster roll by the beach, I'll save some money up. If you're on the North Shore, where most of the listeners are, just go up to Hampton Beach or whatever. I don't know where the good lobster roll... You might as well drive to Maine at that point. Drive up to Maine. Get yourself a $45 lobster roll. But go to a place right in the water. And I want you to sit there and eat the lobster roll and look at the ocean. Feel the calm sea air on your face. And think about if this is the time that you want to be talking about the immigrant problem in America. Because my answer would be no. My answer would be, I want to eat this lobster roll. And this is the time for simple conversations. Like, oh, that seagull's beak is kind of funny. That's a beautiful boat coming into the harbor right here. These are delicious clams. You can tell they're fresh. Those are the kind of conversations that you should be having in a moment of privilege like that. It should be light. Everybody should know that not everybody's going to be able to eat this kind of bounty. Seafood is not cheap. Not everybody's going to be able to be this close to the water. Not everyone, a beautiful place like Cape Cod. Not everyone's. Some people live in Connecticut. Some people live in, I don't know, Galveston, Texas. You know what I mean? Somewhere like on the water, but it's not that great. and they won't be able to enjoy that kind of experience that you're having in that moment. At some point, it needs to be about the 25 minutes that you don't worry about anything else. Everybody knows that this is something that they should be very appreciative of having. But this is not the time to hear about Big Mike. Once we get back to the car, I'm fine hearing about Big Mike. But in that moment, I almost don't even want conversation. Very basic. You keep it keep it light. Keep it light. Just like we were at IOC, Aaron and I, that night, we went out to a bar, and most of the bars down the Cape only give you the little cups, like the little solo cup, the Dixie cups. It's only like 8 ounces. They give you like a fake shot of booze, a little bit of flat soda, and then they charge you $22. We went to a place that was giving you full solo cups, pouring out the rum, pouring in a little Coke, nice balance. We sit down at a coffee table outside, about to crack out a pack of cigarettes. And there's a group of girls at the table next to us. They come over and start talking to us. This one girl immediately tells us how she had brain cancer, which is tragic. No one should have that. And was very happy. We were like very glad to see you've recovered, blah, blah, blah. But she quickly became the cancer of the conversation. And it was really hard because we're in this beautiful place, and she just survived cancer. She got all her hair back and everything. And she still found this to be the time to absolutely destroy the conversation. So we're talking to her. She keeps on showing us pictures of her tumor, which is fine. But, like, it got to the point where it was about 40 times she was showing, like, even my family, like, my mom, my aunts and stuff were like, she showed the tumor a little bit too much, and I agreed. But then she kept on getting offended about everything. And I think that it got to the point where it's like, I can't believe you're not a little bit more appreciative of the beautiful life that you're able to continue to. You were down the Cape having a nice glass of wine. And she wasn't just upset about the cancer. She was upset about everything. She first off introduced her friend as Russian, which is like, there's not much you could say about that, because you didn't want to just like gloss over like she's Russian. But it's like, so I was like, oh, Ukraine, very tragic. And she was like, how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you know that she gets called a Nazi? I'm like, well, if you introduce her as Russian, I'm sure a decent amount, because I don't know about anything else in the news of Russia, and maybe I'm just not informed, but like that seems to be the biggest topic of conversation currently, is the Ukraine. So if you don't want that to be mentioned at all to your friend, who was also not offended that I asked, she kind of just like, she gave the sad like nod. She's like, yes, it is tragic, but maybe don't introduce her as Russian. I would have guessed she looked Russian. She didn't sound it. But like she could have been Finnish passing. She could have been like Eastern Bloc passing. You could have said she was like Polish or something. She was blonde, I guess, so I don't know how many blonde Polish there are, but like she could have been Eastern Bloc passing. She wasn't necessarily strictly Russian. And then her friend had this like massive wedding ring, like the craziest wedding ring I think I've seen of someone around our age, like a crazy big rock. And I go, oh, is that lab grown? Or because she's showing the ring off, so I just asked the question. I'm like, is that lab grown or is that a blood diamond? I don't know what you refer to a real diamond as. Like 98% of them are blood diamonds, so that's what they are. And she, again, got offended. She's like, you know, lab diamonds are just as good as real diamonds, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, I do know that. It's not the point of the question. The point of the question was I was just curious. Because if it was a real diamond, that would be incredibly expensive, and I might break your friend's finger off and take the fucking diamond with me home. because it was huge, dude. It was like the Leonardo DiCaprio diamond that whole movie was based. The blood diamond, that's what it was called. The whole movie, it was the same size of a diamond. It was insane. It was insane. And it got to the point where she was getting offended over everything we said, and we were kind of taking the bullet for IOC because he's a single man. We wanted him to talk to the Russian one. But she just couldn't stop getting offended. And she made a comment about my hairline, which, again, is why I wear the hat. But, like, she brought up about how she had chemo, so I'm like, oh, it's great, your hair grew back. And then a couple minutes later, I'm like, yeah, like, my hair's falling out, except it's not going to grow back. Which I guess could have been, I don't see how that's offended. I complimented how her hair grew back. And then she's like, I think we're done. I think we're done here. And I'm like, okay, see you later. You guys were the one who started the conversation with us. We wanted to just talk to ourselves. We didn't want to talk to you. We never even acknowledged these people. They acknowledged us and moved down on the table and started talking to us. And I was 0 for 3. Even the best hitters strike out sometimes when it comes to conversations. I don't think I crossed any lines here. Again, because her hair grew back. My hair's not going to grow back. If anything, I'm the one who should be offended that you're offended. Your hair grew back. My hair's not going to, unless I go to Turkey. I should be the one who gets offended here. But anyway, I just find it interesting that someone could survive such a life. It's very rare that someone comes out of a life-changing experience like that, a near-death experience, and somehow gets more bitter and more annoying. She became the cancer of our conversation, and I wish we could have cut her out. Anyways, I might cut that part of the conversation out here. We will be recording. I think we're going to have Chef Ran on soon. Joey is back from Germany soon, so maybe we can do a little breakdown of that this weekend with somebody. Other than that, we'll try to do some golf videos and things like that while we are home. Maybe some fishing videos. Going to go out in the boat again. Again, another point of privilege. I understand, but what do you want me to do about it? Not go on the boat? What's the point of having the boat if I can't go out on the boat without people bitching about the boat? Anyway, appreciate you guys all for listening. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and we are on X, but I don't really use it often. But yeah, appreciate everybody for listening. See ya.